Operation Confidence proudly presents America's Invisible Heroes radio talk show. Tune in weekly on Sundays from 2 to 3:30 p.m. Pacific Time with your hosts, Consuela Mackey, co-host U.S. Air Force veteran Matt Davidson, announcers Taylor Marcella and Brooke Gadesi, U.S. Army veteran and entertainment host Charles Whitehead, U.S. Army Special Forces veteran and I Once Was Whole segment host Richard Cook, U.S. Army veteran and Lifeline for Women's Veterans segment host Martha Elena Varela, National Faith Program Director and Veterans in Recovery segment host Anthony Akimpora, and U.S. Air Force veteran and Incarceration to Success segment host Kevin Lewandowski. For more information or to be a guest on our show, email info@operationconfidence.org.
Operation Confidence is a grassroots nonprofit. The organization's mission is to provide stable housing for veterans who have experienced homelessness, as well as providing a wide range of supportive services. To help accomplish our goal, a successful landowner has donated land for the project, a world-renowned architect has offered to design the houses, and construction classes from the local community colleges will take part in building the houses. Your support and donations are needed. To get involved, please visit our website at www.operationconfidence.org or email info@operationconfidence.com.
Hey, well, welcome everyone, and thank you for tuning in to America's Invisible Heroes, the show dedicated to our veterans and their families. Yes, I'm your host, Consuela Mackey, Executive Director of a grassroots nonprofit organization called Operation Confidence. No, I'm not a veteran, but my heart goes out to our veterans, especially those who are disabled and may have experienced homelessness. For those who are new to the show was established to create a platform for our veterans to share their stories, challenges, resources, and accomplishments. Now, allow me to introduce you to our co-hosts for today. We have U.S. Army Reserve veteran Charles Whitehead. He's a board member. We have Taylor Marcella's board member and an announcer. We have U.S. Army veteran Martha Varela. She's on our advisory board I think it's going to be now every 2 weeks, huh, Martha? She has Lifeline for Women Veterans. And then we have Richard Cook. He has a bi-monthly segment called I Once Was Whole. And then we have Kevin. Kevin's a board member and has a monthly segment called From Incarceration to Success. And then for there we have Ann Montague. She has a bi-monthly segment called The Rosie's Movement. And last but not least, we have Darcy Dijon. She has a monthly segment called Make Music LA. Welcome, everyone.
Hi.
Hi.
Bye.
Okay, Ann, you take it away, girlfriend.
Okay. This coming weekend, folks, of course, is going to be Labor Day. And every year at Labor Day, starting in 2014, I think, I might check it at some point, but we've been ringing bells to get people aware of the really important role that Rosie the Riveters played during World War II, but most important, their legacy, what they want to leave for America is that they pulled together then, we can do it again. And even one, Rosie who was very close to us, said, it's our only hope. And I believe every day that she was right about that. So we have different ways for people to pull together to do highest quality work, and while they do it, to remember the Rosies. One would be, for example, to build a park in a city that would require people to really get along as they build that park. So pull together to do as highest quality work and do it in a spirit of cooperation to prove that we can. The simplest project that we have is the ringing of the bell for Rosies. We do that on Labor Day because, of course, the women were workers. And we found that if we do it anytime Labor Day weekend, it works just as well. We don't have to say it as a given time, let's say on Labor Day. So from Thursday before Labor Day through Labor Day, if you can ring a bell for Rosie, it doesn't have to be a big bell. It can be jingle bell or cowbell or whatever bell you've got, bicycle bell. There you go. And
Little bells.
and the ring a bell for Rosies really is the more people we get across the nation and in other nations, the more we can show that this is not just a national movement, but an international movement. So that's the whole picture. Charles, do you have some photos to share there and I can explain them?
I sure do.
Okay.
Let's see here.
And just in case our viewers are not sure who the Rosies are, that's the same Rosies the Riveters, but as Ann shares with you is that they did all other type of work other than just riveting. So
that's right. It did everything from fly airplanes to grow food to design boots to make boots to whatever. Lots of wiring, lots of office work in Washington and so forth. This picture is a little girl who was a Brownie Scout. That day we were planting a dogwood tree to honor the Rosies in 4 different states. And it was raining really hard in Buchanan, West Virginia. And a man who was on our board, who's retired naval captain, was smart enough to realize that the Rosie could not get outside. Her name was Bobby Lamb. And so just as he was starting to go out to drop the tree in the hole, he gave this bell to the little girl and said, now you watch out the window. And the minute I drop it in the ground, you ring the bell. So that started Ring a Bell for Rosies. That fall, we had like 7 different major places that rang bells for Rosies, including the Liberty Bell and the Netherlands Carillon. This picture is of a wonderful Rosie who is fading on us now. And of course, this is one reason we have to really move fast with the American Rosie movement, because they are fading.
What was her name?
Anna Hess, ANNAHESS.
Okay.
And she just had her 94th birthday. Anyway, this picture
Right.
was taken in the Bishop's Garden of the Nashville Cathedral, gorgeous cathedral in Washington, D.C. And the fellow there in the background was a previous Merchant Marine. And Anna has been to the Netherlands with us, and she's taken part in so many different events. So I have that picture. If anybody wants a picture of Anna signed by her, just send me an email. I put my email in the chat box, and I can send you over a picture of that same picture of her with her signature on the back.
She favors one of the other Rosies that's been on the show.
I'm not sure. They all look alike. Of course, I've got white hair now too. So once we
That's
get white hair,
true.
they all look the same.
That's true.
But she has an interesting story. She was a farm girl and didn't even have electricity, so they didn't know the war had started. And they went to church and found that the war had started. And the next morning, all her brothers and cousins who were able-bodied went to sign up, and the men went into Akron, Ohio to work in factories. It took them several weeks or months to close down the farm. And then she and her mother went to Akron, Ohio. She made truck tires, and her mother riveted airplanes. And also Anna is a very outspoken person who belonged to labor unions and so forth. So we like to use that picture because it is labor related. So every voice counts is what the Queen of the Netherlands said when she gave the Caroline, which is on the George Washington Parkway next to the Iwo Jima Memorial. And so we like to say, a small bell or a big bell, it doesn't matter. but ring a bell for roses and learn that these women wanted more than anything and want more than anything to leave their legacy of pulling together, do highest quality work for freedom. Because if we don't, we've wasted our freedom and we maybe even are jeopardizing our freedom.
Well, if anyone wants the bell, I have several here that Ann's provided for us. I think we have 8. I have maybe about 5 that's going to ring on our end, maybe 6. I haven't confirmed with the 6th person, but we have bells in all different colors over here that Ann sent us. So in case you want one, let me know.
Yeah, I want one.
You want one? Great.
Yeah.
What color do you want?
Yeah, we got them in different colors.
She's
I
got
have
this
purple.
Blue.
purple. Oh, I should have guessed.
It's from Minnesota, so that explains it right away.
There's the purple one.
Either a purple or a blue. The blue looked pretty.
Here's a lighter blue. And what color did you say that you wanted, Taylor? You didn't care?
I want it purple.
Okay, I'll take the blue. Easy enough.
Only one purple.
Is there a red one?
Only one purple. And then you wanted one, didn't you, Darcy?
I'd love one.
They got yellow. And then orange.
An orange would be perfect for me.
Okay, you want the orange. You put
Yeah.
them aside here.
You still have the light blue?
Who wants the blue?
Kevin and
I'll
Miss
take the
Bella.
dark blue and Kevin can have the light blue.
Kevin, you want the light blue. I hope I can remember it.
You're having bill wars now.
And then we have green. And then there's red.
There's Darcy's color.
And what other color? And then there's white.
I have a set of bills that are all gold. Whole set.
Okay, that'll work.
Every key.
Whatever.
And what do? We bring them all at the same time?
It's
Mhm.
ringing.
Certain day?
It
Just
doesn't
on that
matter.
day.
Kevin. We used to ring them at the same time, but it got too complicated.
Mhm.
Want to do it when they have time to study and realize what the roses mean. Very often what people will do is in a quiet time, they'll, call their family together and say, now let's think about this. And it's almost a prayerful time. A lot of people have done just to give thanks for our freedom.
Richard, you have your hand up. Did you want a bell too?
Ah,
Oh, he has one. Okay.
he's
You
got
muted.
it.
We can't hear you. We can't hear it. You muted.
Again. Let me try it again. Sorry about that. This is for the Rosies.
Oh, right, he had one.
Oh, we got the Liberty Bell.
Yeah.
He's got the Liberty Bell, yes.
Yeah, I got that from the Blind Rehab Center.
Wow. Well, you guys send me your addresses so I can get these out. Would you get them in time? When is Labor Day?
Next week.
Monday. Next Monday.
Well, a week from tomorrow.
Okay. Well, if I get them out tomorrow, Monday, you should get them in time.
You can start ringing anytime just so you get a picture to us. So I'd say 3 or 4 days after or after Labor Day, that works.
Right.
Send it
Okay.
on Facebook.
And you're always taking this initiative to do this helps us to say that you're a model Rosie the Riveter organization. You have shown so much respect for these women. And
Right. Well, we know we love the roses.
Yeah.
And we put the photo on Facebook.
Yeah, we can. And then we can put it on our show as well, right?
And let me know also if you want a signed picture of Anna there. And, just send me over your, I gave you the email address in the chat box. So send me over your address and we will mail you a hard copy.
You put that in the chat. Is that in the chat?
Was autographed by Anna, yes.
Yeah, her name, information is in there. Okay, moving right along here. I know, Martha, you're somewhat in a hurry today, girlfriend. You won't be able to be with us the whole day, but she has an engagement later on, so we're going to move her right on up to the second one. Take it away, Martha.
All right, Connie. Active duty military personnel and National Guard and reservists experience multiple deployments because of the conflicts that compromise the war on terror. After nearly a decade of war, a growing area of research shows the negative impact on children. Children of military families often experience multiple stressors before and during their parents' deployment and when they come home. Without appropriate mental health support systems, children of military personnel may be at significant disadvantage compared with their peers in non-military families. Who are the children of military families? The 1.76 million children and youth in military families are predominantly in early and middle childhood. 78% are under age 11 for parents on active duty, and 80% are under the age of 15 for the reservists, compared to the national average of 66% and 83% respectively. Chiefly from families where the heads of households are married, 55% active duty versus 49% for the reserve component. Mostly 70.5% are from white families for active duty and 7.6% for reserve components. And disproportionately, African American families or children account for 15.5% and 13.7% among active duty and reserve component respectively. And disproportionately, American Indian children at 1.4% are among the highest active duty personnel compared to the general civilian population of military age. Well, actually, that would be low because it's not a lot of representation. Among active duty personnel, 5% hail from immigrant families, and over 1/3 of new active duty enlistees come from communities where the median household incomes are $42,039 or less per year, which is considered low income, and almost 50% come from moderate income families or communities with median household incomes between $42,040 and $65,000 per year. Among new enlistees in the reserve component, nearly 50% come from communities where the median household income is approximately $46,000 per year. And almost equal proportion of active duty military at 43.2% and reserve component, which is 41.9%, have children. Similar numbers of parents are enlisted as active duty, National Guard, and reserve personnel. So how many children of military families experience the direct impact of the nation's wars? At least 19,000 children have had a parent wounded in action. Over 2,200 children have lost a parent in either Iraq or Afghanistan. So the impact of deployment on children's mental health is great. Children in military families experience high rates of mental health trauma and related problems. Military life can be a source of psychological stress for children also. Multiple deployments, frequent moves, and having a parent injured or die is a reality for many children in military families. Wartime parental deployments can be one of the most stressful events of a child's life. Changes reported including school attendance or performance, lashing out in anger, worrying, hiding emotions, disrespecting parents and authority figures, feeling a sense of loss, and symptoms consistent with depression. There's also reports of high levels of sadness seen in children in all age groups. Depression was seen in about 1 out of every 4 children. Academic problems occurred in 1 out of 5 children. 37% of children with a deployed parent reported that they seriously worry about what could happen to their deployed caretaker. Parents reported that 1 in 5 children coped poorly or very poorly to deployment separation, and media coverage of the war posed a significant source of that stress for children, which made it much more difficult for children to cope with their parents' deployment. The length of deployment was associated with mental health problems, including depression, acting out, and externalizing behaviors. We could probably also throw in anxiety right? Because if they're worrying a lot about their parent and see their other parent worrying, and then they begin to worry, that could also contribute to
Right.
anxiety. And as we heard last week of some of the legal problems that are also connected to active duty parents and parents who are deployed. We've heard a couple of our guests speak about, their children being taken away from them, while they were deployed. And so very interesting article, once again, Consuela. We often don't think about the children, oftentimes, right, that are also kind of caught in some of
In
the
the
stressful
middle.
homes.
Right,
Mhm.
exactly.
Yeah,
That's
and
so good.
I can attest, because my brother was in Afghanistan. Now he been in Afghanistan, Iraq, Saudi. He was in all of those. And so when they started the war in Iraq, my mother was like, she was a mess. She was worried. It's like, here
Right.
your son is over there. You see it on TV, all of this bombing and all of this stuff. And
Mm-hmm.
my brother was so into the military. He had a seizure and he fell and hit his head or something. And so they had to take him out, because he was like the commander of his unit. And he was like, man, I didn't come here to be laying around. He wanted to get back to the war.
Oh my
My mother
goodness.
was like, he's like, shoot, I didn't sign up for this. So he got better, and he found a way to get himself back out there.
But what happened to his kids? We were talking
He
about
didn't
that.
have the kids at first. He didn't have. No, I'm saying my mother was a mess behind him.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Oh, about her. Okay,
And
got
he all he wanted to do was get back to the war. She over here worrying about him. He like, "Psst, I didn't sign up for no laying around,
it.
because he was he's like I got to go out there and take care of my troops, because he was very he was proud about that. He was
Is
like,
that is that the brother we had on?
yeah,
Oh, he
that's
is.
the
When
only
he gonna
brother I have.
come back again? Not only is he recognized what he's
Mhm.
done in the military, but he's funny.
Oh yeah, that's
Well, he asked him to come back on though. You said
he
he's
works
busy
on
with that.
Sundays, so it's kind of
Oh,
hard.
he does. Okay.
Yeah,
All right.
he retired, but he works over at the base in Louisiana. Yeah,
Oh,
he'll come when he has a chance.
yeah. Let him know he's always welcome.
Mhm.
Okay. Well, that was good write up, Martha. I know you got to go, but stay as long as you can.
Okay.
Where you going?
I'm going to the jazz summer jazz festival today at the Hollywood Bowl.
Oh, must be
Guess
nice.
who she's going to see? Tell her who you gonna go see.
George Benson
Yeah, that's right. You did tell
for
me.
us old school heads in
See
the
the
room.
neon lights. So okay now.
So, Martha got a lot of soul in her. She likes
I'm a 70s baby, so absolutely.
Yeah,
All
that's
right
so
now.
cool. We moving right along. Okay, Kev, it's on you. And
Hi,
Miss Bella.
everybody. Yes, Miss Bella, she's right here. So what I'm going to talk about today is myself and my homelessness and getting out of the military. Was released from the military very abruptly. One day I was in, the next day I was out, and I was an active alcoholic in the military, and that's when they let me out due to that. They never offered me help or anything. So as a result of that, I do have PTSD from them abruptly letting me out and then winding up on the streets for 28 years. So
What did you do when you were in the military?
I was a firefighter, paramedic.
Wow. And you say you had alcohol too?
I was an alcoholic. Yeah. Well, what happened when I went in? They lied to me. I went under guaranteed enlistment, which meant that I was guaranteed a position. When I went in, and I had to wait. I waited 6 months for the position to come up. They called, said your position came up. You're going to basic training, and it was for a pharmacy technician. When my orders came in, they weren't for pharmacy technician. They were for firefighter. And from that point on, that's when I spiraled down, because I never wanted to be a firefighter. I never wanted to be thrown into fires. And they literally throw you into fires.
Really?
They have simulated aircrafts that they light up on fire. And then you put on this silver suit, no oxygen or anything, and they tell you to jump in. Well, I wasn't jumping in, so they pushed me in. They pushed me in, So I had, I had a fear of, of fire. I mean, I'm saying this fire here was like 48 feet tall,
Oh, no.
aircraft.
And they pushed you in?
Pushed me in.
That's not funny, but you make it sound.
No. And then they go into this little tiny house with these oxygen, with the oxygen tanks on, and you got to crawl around in these little tiny things. It's like a maze, and you're blindfolded, so you can't see.
What?
And you have to go in there. They call it the smokehouse, and you have to go in and you have to find this lead dummy, and you got to drag it out. So I got in there and I started hyperventilating. I couldn't stand it. I was claustrophobic.
That's
and
not
my oxygen tank ran out because I was breathing so heavy, and it was just traumatic, the whole thing.
Oh,
so
wow.
It was just horrible. So of course, I wasn't happy. I just was not happy.
How many times do you have to do that type of training? Just once?
No, you had to we did it constantly.
Oh,
constantly training, constantly trained. So of course I wasn't happy. So I started drinking, and I was reprimanded many times on the base for I got a DUI on the base, one off the base, so they weren't happy with me, and I wasn't really happy with them either. So they let me out, an active alcoholic. So from that point on, I stayed homeless for 28 years until I wound up in prison. So, I was thinking the other day, because now I am writing a book, and, it just got me thinking of all the things that I missed out on being homeless. I became homeless when I was 24. I missed out on family events. I missed out on spending time with family, getting to know my family. Because by the time I went to prison, I was 49. So from the time I was 24 till I was 49, I had no contact with anyone. I was out there in the world by myself, running the streets. It's a very lonely place to be when you're homeless. You don't have any friends. You may have associates, and these people that you're associated with, usually you have something they want and they have something you want, so you pair off. But once you run out of whatever they want, they run out whatever you want, it ends right there. So it's a very, very lonely life, and I was thinking about, I remember the loneliness. I remember sitting on the curb one day and I was thinking, this was after I was out there for like 15 years. And I thought, how did this happen to me? I'm sitting in this curb, and it was like, wow, it kind of like hit me all at once, and it was, it's a horrible, horrible life. It's a very lonely life. It's a very dangerous life. I've got scars all over my head from getting in fights and getting beat up. I had my ear bit off when my earlobe bit when I was asleep in the park, and I would always hold on to my vodka bottle. I hold on to it for dear life because I didn't know whether to get it. I needed that thing in the morning. So I held on to it, and they knew I held on to it. So they came and they bit my ear. So then I would let go. Here's my ear right here. You see how it's bit? Can you see it?
Yeah. Oh, well, you off camera now. Get back.
Let me say it here. Can you see it here where it's?
Oh my God! Yeah. Oh.
Yeah. So they bit my ear off, and that's just one of the things that happened. So of course, I was actively drinking, and I got into at one point I got arrested. I went into a liquor store, and I took 2 cans of Tecate beer. I stuck them into my army jacket and went to get out of the store. Now I was at the point where I needed this drink now. If I didn't have the drink, I would go into seizures. So now I'm physically dependent on this alcohol. So of course I went through any ways and means to get it. So when these clerks tried to stop me, I ran right past them and knocked them, And since I 2 blocks down, I got arrested. Since I physically touched the clerks, I got arrested for strong arm robbery.
Really?
So yes. So I went to jail, and Then I got on formal probation for 4 years. So and then also at this point, I didn't even want to drink anymore. I did not want to drink. I wanted to stop, but I couldn't, because now my body was physically dependent on it. And when I would wake up in the morning, I would have those dry heaves, and I had to get that drink down me. So I would try to save a little bit of beer from the night before, so I wouldn't have this gagging in the morning. But I would wake up halfway through the night, finish it. So I would go out and I would collect change. I panhandled. That's how I supported myself, and I would get change and buy beer. And it was always to the point where before I ran out, I had to have another one ready. So that's because my brain at this point was all it could think was get more, get more, get more, get more. That was my daily thought. I didn't think of anything else but to get more liquor, get more drugs, get more of whatever it is to take me out of myself, because I didn't want to be in my skin anymore. So many times I did try to commit suicide. I tried it several times. I tried it one time when after I was living in Arizona, and I moved to Miami to get away from everything, and I planned my suicide there. So what I did was I went and I got a bottle of vodka, and I got a can of that Crisco lard, the white Crisco, and I put that all over my body. And my thought was to sit out there and just bake like a rotisserie chicken until the nightfall. Then I was going to proceed into the ocean and get hypothermia. So I went and I put the Crisco, and I kept putting Crisco and rolling around, turning like a chicken and turning and turning. And next thing I knew, I woke up and I smelt this odor. I was like, "Ooh," and it kind of woke me up. And when I wake up, there's these doctors and nurses staring down at me. What they were doing, they were puncturing these blisters that I had all over my body. I had given myself 3rd-degree burns from the sun. So they found the Coast Guard found me floating in the ocean.
They found the what in the ocean?
They found me floating in the ocean. Yeah.
Oh, goodness.
So that's one of the times I tried to commit suicide. Then I tried it again, and it was like over and over, because I didn't want to live my life. I didn't want to. I was very unhappy and very depressed, and it was just it's horrible. And it got to the point. I was diagnosed with HIV when I was out there, and it was in the early 80s, when everybody was dying within weeks. And that was another traumatic thing that I went through out there, and I got beat up coming out of the gay bar. They gay bashed me. They beat me so bad that they broke my jaw. I had to get my jaw wired shut. And then when they went to take the wires out, the dentist said to me, "Do you have a family doctor?" I said, "No, I don't." And he said, "Well, you better get one." And I'm looking at him like, who are you to tell me to get a doctor? I'm all indignant. He said, "Well, you have hepatitis C and you have GRID." And
you have
GRID,
what? Hepatitis and what?
GRID.
What is that?
GRID stands for gay-related immune deficiency. That's what HIV and AIDS was before anybody knew what it was all about.
Oh, wow.
So I was diagnosed, I guess it's been 34, 35 years ago. And, and the doctor, told me this, and I'm sitting in the dentist chair and waiting. He left the room, and I thought, well, he's going to come back in, and tell me what to do. And he never came back in. So that's the difference between now, the way things are today, and the way things were back then. Now, before you take the test and after you take the test, you go through counseling. Whether you're negative or positive, you have a counselor right there. Because back then, people were given this information and to sit with. So my first thought was get a bottle. So I went walking in Philadelphia. I'm walking in all that sleet and everything, and I went and I was staying at a friend's place, and I walked up the stoop, which is the steps, to the place, and I slipped and fell. And back then the bottles came in glass. They weren't plastic like they are today. And that thing shattered all over the front stoop. When that thing shattered all over the front stoop, I was beside myself because I needed that drink now more than anything. Because what I did when I drank things away. I'm going to drink this away. It's not happening to me. I'm going to drink it. I'm going to drink it away. So I went back to the liquor store. I carried that bottle back like a baby. And when I got in, I started drinking. And I drank and I drank and I drank. And the guy that I was staying with, he would go and get me more liquor. And when I woke up, I don't even know how long I was drinking. I woke up in Thomas Jefferson University Hospital with nemesis pneumonia, which is what people were dying of back then. And only by the grace of God am I sitting here today, because I went through many other trials like that. And you know, I should have been dead, but you know, like I say, you know, God had plans for me, you know, so to move way forward.
You have the perfect segment from incarceration to success.
Yes, and now
let everybody know the success part of it.
Well, there's more to the success. So anyway, so now not only do I have a job with PATH as a employment specialist 3. Now I'm going to school. I start next month for nationally certified addiction counselor. So I'm going to become an addiction counselor, and I'll be certified throughout the whole country. So I can work in any state. So I mean, that's another blessing. I applied for that, and I don't even know why I applied for it. I guess it was the Holy Spirit, and I applied for it, and they called and they said we went through 3 interviews, and then I got an acceptance letter. I guess it was 2 weeks ago that I was accepted into the program. So that's another blessing, and the blessings just keep coming. And this month, September 24th, I'll be celebrating 12 years clean and sober.
And you know, when we met, that's phenomenal. Yeah. When we met, you were literally out there recruiting other homeless veterans, and you went from that all the way up to the position you are in now. I mean, it's been just amazing just to watch you grow. And it's all because you started believing in God more. And of course, Miss Bella, that's his picture in the background.
That's Miss Bella right there.
Yeah, that's a picture.
She is the one that saved me.
Understand how she
saved me. She's the boss in the house.
Right.
And she's the one, she helps keep me sober, and she keeps me in line.
Right.
If I even think about getting out of line, she's not having it.
That's so cute.
Yeah, she runs a house.
Picture like that though. Where is she in real life? Where is she?
She right here sitting with me.
Let me see her. That's Auntie Connie.
You see her?
Oh, there she is. Oh. Pick her up.
She's laying down, wants me to pet her. Here, come here, baby. Look, they want to see you like that. Come on. Come on up here. They want to see you. Oof. Oh. Okay.
Yes. Oh, he's so sweet. And she's so sweet. And he has all these different outfits for her. And she literally goes to the office with him. And that's who saved his life, Miss Bella. He was able to get her, and of course.
I'm tired. Y'all got me out here. I'm trying to get my sleep.
And the funny thing is, when I go on a job interview, she comes right with me. And I don't even tell them ahead of time. I don't even tell them. I was at this one job interview, and they came out to the waiting room, and they said, "Have you seen? I'm looking for a guy to here for an interview. His name is Kevin. Have you seen? Oh, here I am." And they look like, "Oh my God," because I got a dog. I walk in these job interviews with a dog, you know.
That's all right. You got hired,
Kevin.
They hired me. They love her.
Kevin, would you say that the unconditional love that you share is what really is what helps to bolster your confidence?
Yes, definitely.
Well, he got closer.
You know, when I first got her, I cried for the first time in 27 years, just out of the joy, you know, of having her, feeling that love, because I hadn't felt love. When I was out there, I wasn't touched really by a human being for many years, unless I wound up in the hospital. You know, you don't have physical touch because I was by myself. You know, you don't really have people to talk to except, you know, you have money for beer. any money for beer. And I didn't know Spanish, but I knew dinero for cerveza. I learned that real quick, money for beer, you know? So that's all, that's the only talk I had, the only communication I had with other people, no touch, you know? And another thing is when I finally went to prison, I looked in the mirror and I was staring at an old man. And I thought I was still young. Because when I got out of the military, I was 24. And that's the image I still had of myself. So I had to go through a lot of therapy just for that. So that's why, when you see a lot of homeless people on the street and they're dressed very young looking, like they think they're youngsters, that's why. Because I stopped. Yeah, I stopped right there. At that point is when the picture of myself stopped, because I never had a mirror. And when you walk past the storefront, you look, you're blurred. So you look at it, you create what you want to create. You really can't see an image, you see an image, but I would make it into a young image, in my mind. So when I finally really got to look in the mirror, it was like, wow, depressing, very depressing, because where did my whole life go? From 24 to 49, my life was nothing.
Wow.
Nothing. So that's a little bit about myself. You're going to have to buy my audio book when it comes out.
Yeah, for sure. And we're so proud of you. And you left out the most important, is that you got in touch with God. And
yes. That's what I said.
You
only by the grace of God did all these things happen. Because
and you're in the church now. What are you doing within the church? Don't you hold a position there now?
Well, I'm the spiritual advisor for the North District of Los Angeles for St. Vincent de Paul Society.
See?
So I got 12 churches under me.
Wow.
All right.
Isn't that amazing? Well, we just
Wow.
Yeah, well, we're so proud of you. And then last but not least, he's a board member. So we're just excited to have you here and share your story. And I remember when you went out in the streets and recruited homeless veterans and brought them back. And
I still do, because I work with homeless. My veterans had to be homeless or at risk. So I'm still right out there with them.
And nobody would know no more than you on how it is out there.
And they listen to me, and I've transferred so many lives from where they were, because I hire for the VA hospitals, janitorial service. And I get them in there, and when they first talk to me, I'm too old to do that. I said, you're not too old and don't let anybody tell you that you're too old to get a job. I got my first job at 52. After homelessness, 52 years old. So don't tell me you can't get a job, and then I'll hire you right now. You got a job.
Wow. That's amazing.
Yeah. So
well, we're proud of you, kid.
Thank you.
And God is with you, and you're doing some great work, and we're so happy to have you on board.
Yes.
And kiss my girl for me. Yes. I mean Connie,
Yes, and now we're both she's going to be a certified addiction counselor too, because she'll go through all the classes with.
That's right, and everybody loves her too. That's so cute. Well, that's wonderful. We're excited. Thank you so much for your presentation.
Thank you.
It was heartfelt,
Thank you.
Okay, it's on you, Taylor.
Respectability is a diverse, disability-led nonprofit that works to create systemic change in how society views and values people with disabilities, and that advances policies and practices that empower people with disabilities to have a better future. Their mission is to fight stigmas and advance opportunities so people with disabilities can fully participate in all aspects of community. Respectability knows that most people with disabilities can and want to fully participate in and contribute to all aspects of society. Respectability shifts narratives and creates progress by centering people with lived disability experience in leadership roles, ensuring authentic representation in entertainment and news media, advancing successful public policy, and pushing for faith-based and other inclusion. The following are respectability's core pragmatic areas. Respectability has a commitment to individual and organizational efforts to build respect, Dignity, fairness, compassion, equality, and self-esteem to create an environment that is inclusive of all throughout their organization and the disability community. They acknowledge and honor the fundamental value and dignity of all individuals. They pledge to create and maintain an environment that respects diverse traditions, heritage, and experiences. People with disabilities make up the largest minority group in the United States. In fact, 1 in 5 people in America has a disability, and this includes people from all genders, races, sexual orientations, and other minority groups. In addition, due to accident, aging, or illness, disability can impact anyone at any time. Respectability believes all people with developmental, physical, sensory, mental, and other differences deserve to be able to achieve their hopes and dreams just like anyone else. In the entertainment and news media, respectability increases diverse and authentic representation of disabled people in media. So people with disabilities are seen for what they can do instead of what they cannot. And leadership roles enables diverse people with disabilities to participate fully in decision making in policy, promote best practices in education, employment, entrepreneurship, civic engagement, and access. And in faith inclusion and belonging, respectability ensures the inclusion of people with disabilities in faith-based communities. Respectability provides equal employment opportunities to all employees and applicants for employment without regard to race, color, religion, gender, sexual orientation, a gender identity or expression, national origin, age, disability, veteran status, or genetics. In addition to federal law requirements, respectability complies with applicable state and local laws governing non-discrimination in employment. This policy applies to all terms and conditions of employment, including recruiting, hiring, placement, promotion, termination, layoff, recall, transfer, leaves of absence, compensation, and training. Respectability is looking for more volunteers and partners to end stigmas and enable people with disabilities to achieve success. They invite us all to join as they champion a better future for everyone. If you would like more information about respectability, you may email them at info@respectability.org. Again, info@respectability.org. And you can also send a letter to their mailing address at Respectability, 43 Town and Country Drive, Suite 119 181, Fredericksburg, Virginia 22405. And their office number is 202-517-6273. Again, 202-517-6272.
Hey, that was good information.
It really was. Thank you for that. Next, I will introduce Ms. Dorsey Dujon. Dorsey is the executive director of Make Music LA. She is a member of Congress of Neighborhood, local neighborhood council, and advisory board for arts of Los Angeles. Ms. Dorsey, take it away.
Hi, good afternoon, Taylor. Good afternoon, Connie, and everybody. It's really good to be here. I haven't been here in a while.
Yeah, you've been busy.
Yeah, I have been busy, but it's been fun. It's been a lot of fun. Today, I wanted to kind of talk about recruitment for the Army bands. I think there are, a lot of college students who've had great music classes and who've been a part of high school marching bands, and might be able to, look at the Army as an option to take them further in terms of their education. So I'd like to just sort of talk a little bit about that and go from their website, which is Go Army and goarmy.com, but to just give you an idea of what's available in terms of the bands and how they can advance their studies. Okay, so it says, take your talents to the next level while you support your fellow soldiers through the power of music. Perform your passion. As an Army Bands musician, special bands member, or Army Bands officer, making music means you're making a difference. You're motivating and inspiring deployed soldiers through music. You're providing musical support for events in local communities. And the challenge is that for you to improve as a musician. The Army Band's advantage. As a member of a U.S. Army Band, you'll get opportunities you won't get anywhere else. Musical variety. With over 80 Army bands and more than 17 different instrumental and technical specialties, there's a place where your musical talents and skills can shine. Freedom to play. Focus on the thing you love the most, making music, while getting paid and maintaining military benefits, even if you serve only part-time. Travel opportunities. Discover all the places your music is needed, from national public parades to overseas tours. Financial stability for the future. As a member of a U.S. Army Band, you will receive benefits that will allow you the freedom to focus on your music without worrying about where the next paycheck is coming from. Competitive starting salaries, E4 pay grade, plus allowances, up to $65,000 in student loan repayment for select instruments, and comprehensive health care, and 30 paid vacation days a year. And online, you'll be able to, flush out all of those benefits because everything is there for you to find. And you can, of course, always check with the recruiting office as well. Discover the band for you. U.S. Army bands are comprised of 4 branches, 20 active duty regional bands, 13 guard bands, and 4 premier bands, each with its own unique mission and qualifications. U.S. Army Premier Bands. Army Premier Bands are highly specialized performance ensembles, regularly providing music for high-profile national events, such as visiting dignitaries and heads of state. They also tour for events nationwide. Army Regional Bands tour regionally and nationally, perform for public events, and provide educational outreach to communities. They also perform for military ceremonies and concerts for soldiers on post. Army regional bands include rock band, brass band, and woodwind quintet, salsa bands, jazz combos, and brass bands, and much more. Army Reserve bands provide part-time musical support to local regions. Performances include a concert tour 2 weeks out of every year or support for a military base, with opportunities for overseas travel. Army Reserve bands include concert bands, rock bands, brass and woodwind quintet, jazz combo, and more. Army National Guard bands provide part-time musical support to 48 states. They require only 1 weekend per month and a 2-week concert tour or musical support for a military base. Army National Guard bands include concert band, rock band, brass, and woodwind, quintet, jazz combo, and much more. So if you have an interest in pursuing a military and a musical career, I encourage you to check out the Army by going to goarmy.com and to take a look at what you can accomplish in a military band. So there you have it.
Okay. Great.
Wonderful opportunities.
Mm-hmm.
I just say be very careful because they tell you one thing and then they do another.
Ah.
They tell you one thing and do another. They're going to say, oh, yeah, you're going to get in this band, da, 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 da. how do they even know when you sign up for that, when you sign those papers, that there's a position available for that instrument that you're playing? They don't know because then they'll say, oh, well, we don't have that right now, but you're going to have to wait. You're going to do this instead. You know,
Oh,
you got to watch because there's only 20 bands in the whole United States, and they're
Oh,
going to sign how many people up? You know, so you got to be very careful. I don't trust them because they stab me in the back, and they do it to many people. A lot of the veterans that I work with now, same story. So just be very careful.
Kevin,
well,
is there a way, do they ever work on a contractual basis? If you're going to sign up, you say, okay, I want to do this, but have them put it in writing. Will they ever put anything in writing?
Mine was in writing, guaranteed enlistment. But then they told me when I got my orders, and I said, this is wrong. I'm supposed to be going to pharmacy school. So the liaison looked through all the papers. Oh, you're right, she said. You took an oath of office to protect this country against foreign and domestic, correct? I said, yes. She said, well, Air Force needs come first. Good luck in your new career.
Oh,
So
so
that's
from the
how they
very
get you.
beginning, you were let down. From
Yes.
the very beginning. Oh,
They
that's
lied to me. They lied to me. Right, straight out lied to me.
you know, Kevin is
well,
not saying anything that I haven't talked about before. He's absolutely correct. You know, because they go in, they recruit you, get you in, get them in, and they recruit you for something that, you know, a lot of times it's something that you do that has nothing to do with civilian life when you get out. So when you get out, okay, you know, if you were just for, you know, some, you know, you are a weapons sergeant, you know,
Right.
when you get out, how do you put
you
that
had
into
you,
civilian life?
you
They
can't
do
do
that,
that.
and they do switch up on you. So, I mean, you know, he's absolutely correct, and you know, this is one thing I always say. I said, you know, they recruit the hell out of you, and then they want you to be there, but then when you get out, hup, you're on your own. Here you go. Here's your, you know, so you get used to having,
So
you know, so he's right.
And then they lie to you and say, oh, you can go to school while you're in the military. You get in there, you can't go to school because you don't have time. And they'll tell you, no, you can't go. We don't have time for that. That doesn't work with your schedule. You're gonna have to wait till you get out. You know, all the just lie, they lie.
well, I've got to tell everybody that was listening to me today, this is a cautionary tale. So if you go to check out recruiting, be concerned about everything.
Yeah.
If it
Dot your
sounds
I's and
too good to
cross
be
your
true,
T's.
it usually is. If it sounds too good to be true, it usually is.
Yeah. Oh, well, we're not going to do recruiting again.
I was a recruiter back in
Well,
the
you know,
70s. I was a recruiter
What you say,
myself.
Richard?
I was a recruiter back
Oh,
In the
back in the
Army?
80s. Out of the Army, yeah. I was an
Really?
Army recruiter right there. It used to be downtown on 6th Street, but that
I know.
has moved to somewhere in by LAX. But the thing is, I was a recruiter, and I used to always tell the potential recruits, just go ahead and do what I'm saying and take it easily, because you have to make the decision on your own, because I'm not here to lie to you. But
Mhm.
my own supervisor, which was a senior recruiter, a sergeant first class, he wanted me to lie. I said, I'm not lying to
Yeah.
anybody. That's why I don't. I'm a recruiter. I'm not lying to anybody. But that's kind of what I went to. I still recruited, and they would tell me, yeah, I trust you. You're not lying to me. And the thing is, he got fired from recruiting because he was doing some things unethical. Just
Wow.
because he, instead of any of myself lying, he's tried to lie so that way you get the recruit. And the thing is, he got fired for that.
Wow.
Oh.
Kevin, do you think from what you went through in the military caused you to come out after you transitioned out to become homeless?
That's why they put me. Yeah, I got put out abruptly. One day I was in, the next day I was sitting on the curb.
Is that because of
active alcoholic? They put me out on the curb. Didn't offer me any kind of help. I'm out of the curb, active alcoholic. Where was I? I just kept drinking. I was homeless from the day I was discharged.
Were you an alcoholic when you went in?
No,
And you became after you got in, and then
when I got in there.
And
Well, I think all of the things that you described to us and the emotional scars that they put on you from day one, it that had an effect on you and on someone who you seemed to me as though when you were 24, you were a very young, naive, and a wide-eyed, open person. And that the way you were treated was so harsh that it was very, very difficult. You never had an opportunity to get a hold of yourself and recognize how you were feeling because you were being bombarded with all kinds of rules, regulations, and they're not listening to you at all. They never heard you.
Martha, are you able to hear us? Because she has some extraordinary stories for women veterans.
Yes, I am. And, kind of to echo with what you hear from Kevin, when you're young,
let's see your face.
18, 19, you can't really problem solve for yourself.
Excuse me for cutting you off. We only see your logo.
Yeah, no, I know. I can't I'm not by the camera.
Oh, okay.
So it's true. You're very young, you're very, naive, nowhere versed in being able to advocate for yourself. So a lot of times it is done intentional, to scare you, bully you, or to fill the quo, right? I mean, when I got out, my recruiter didn't even tell me what time I had to show up to my National Guard unit. So they were calling me at, 7, 8 o'clock in the morning, like, where are you? And I had no idea. Once he got his stat or his quota filled for that, period of time, that's the last time I ever heard from him, and kind of like Kevin said, with the medic, the program, when you get out, it's not a real job that you can go and apply for. You're kind of in the halfway between being a nurse and a paramedic, but you don't have the degree. So it's kind of like you wasted all that time, and the resources training for a job that you couldn't just walk out and go apply for. So you either had to go to nursing school, which everyone knows is hard and very expensive, or paramedic school. And like Kevin, I didn't want to fight fires either, but I had no choice. So I tried out for the fire department, and not only, Kevin, is that suit like claustrophobic, but it's heavy and it's hot.
Yeah.
And then you got to carry a big fan on your shoulder and run up a ladder, and all with the, meanwhile you can't breathe. I mean, so and then again, this is all being put on your shoulders, and you're just 19 years of age, or 18 years of age. And so
you've suffered some type of disability from having to carry all that stuff, right?
Yeah. Well, I broke my foot, and basic training, I attested to them stupid boots that they used to make us wear, them ugly, heavy duty leather ones that had no movement. They were very constrictive, and you're running 5 and 6 miles in some boots that aren't even comfortable. So the fracture for me came on the top of my foot from the boots rubbing on the top of my foot. And now, 40 years later, or 20 years later, I have problems. I need hip surgery, and I've got sciatica. I mean, it's not funny, but, and because I wasn't given the proper, like Kevin, with maybe his is more of, his emotional health and well-being, right? His mental health and well-being. Mine was my physical health and well-being. They said, well, either you start over and do it again, how, with a broken foot, or you just suck it up and drive on. Okay, well, it never healed properly. And so now I've got problems, and now I have to go back and, file for disability because I can't walk, and so it's really unfortunate. It really is. I mean, I think, they could do it in a way that doesn't, harm your physical health, your mental health, but particularly for women, we and for men equally, we're young, we don't know any better. And so it's really hard for us during that time to cope and figure out what we're supposed to do to advocate for ourselves. But yeah, I echo the same experience.
And unfortunately, the recruiting part, some of it is done, like you say, on purpose, but then there's the other part that the people are just there to recruit. They don't know that, oh, this guy's gonna come in, or this girl, he or she's gonna come in. Some people go in, they stay for 25 years, 30 years, or whatever, and then they're well established. Or some go in for 2 or 3 years, and they come out of a situation where maybe when they're at home, they don't have a great life. They may, come, because I've heard about people who lived in like terrible situation, poor family, and this. They go join the military to get out of that, and then when they go in, they come out, and guess where you're headed back to?
That's what happened to me.
Because you don't know any different. This is what
Mhm.
you know. The military didn't give you these. Oh, when you get out, why don't you, try to take this MOS or whatever? You can go do this. They don't- a lot of times they don't care. They want to get bodies in. You're like it's the cattle herd. Let's get them in here. Rustle up the cattle and get them all together. That's what they want to do. Bodies to fill in spots. Sorry,
Mhm.
Dorothy, your subject got
Well, no, you know what?
got, got
I was
Sorry,
thinking, God, why did I talk about that? But at the same
But it's good to
time,
know, though.
I
That's
mean,
good though.
it's that experience is there's going to be some young woman or man out there who's listening to this and they're going, well, I was
Right.
thinking about that, but now I'm going to think twice about it because I really want to do this with my life. And if something happens to me, I have no recourse. And then they're telling me I've gone AWOL, and then they're going to put me in jail for that.
Right.
So
Right.
I
Yeah.
think I'm sorry I brought it up, but I'm glad
No,
I
no,
brought
it's
it up.
good
No,
because
no,
Thank
I
God.
think it was
That's
wonderful.
good.
it's informative. We hijacked. You got hijacked, but it's okay.
But they're telling the truth. But now they know the
Yeah.
truth.
Yes, yes.
All
If you
right.
didn't,
And
if you
see,
didn't bring up the,
and you,
if you never brought that up, they may not have, they may have signed up and not knowing what harm it can do. But you
right.
brought
Right.
that up, and now we brought the truth to light.
Yeah. I
Yes.
mean, I've been preaching this for the longest. It's like that's unfortunately it's that way. Now maybe it's changing a little bit. But it's stuff like that happens all the time. They kick you in the corner, say, "Oh, here you go. Here's a broom."
My ex-husband was in the army, and he was young when he went. They told him, okay, it's either jail or the military. That's what the judge told him because he did something stupid with some friends, and they got into trouble, and that was what he had to do. So he went into the service. And I remember when he came back, he had done a tour. He got injured, and he came home, and we weren't together, but he came to visit me. And I asked him, what was he going to do now that he was home? And he said, well, I'm not staying home. And I said, why? He said, because there's nothing I can do here. He said, the only thing I know how to do is kill.
Oh,
Those were his words to me.
so did he go back in?
He did go back in. He did go back in. And that was the last time that I had spoken to him. He survived, but I believe mentally he did not survive. So I haven't spoken to him.
That's terrible. And then Martha and I, we and Charles, we remember this was it in the army, Martha or Charles, that had that horrible experience that he's just recently got his, thanks to you all, just got his apartment.
Yeah, remember Michael had gotten beat up by his drill sergeant, so he was in the military. I think it was because he was a very nice looking young man, and sometimes you get these kind of, I don't know, like it's weird, but people have
They
their own.
tortured him though. Oh,
Yeah.
they tortured him.
Yeah.
He came out. He
Remember?
was a basket case on our show, and he plus
now
at that
he got
time
his
was
new
homeless.
place.
Finally got him a place, huh?
Yep, he finally moved into a place. Kevin, you might know the Casa de Rosas apartment
Oh
building.
yes,
That was
very
just
nice.
just recently, I think, might have opened up after all of
Yes,
that.
very nice, very nice.
Yeah, he
place.
came through Operation Confidence, and Martha and I worked on him and got him together. And how long did it take, Martha?
Oh, about a year.
Yeah, but we had
It
to help
takes a
him.
good year.
Yeah,
That's
it took about
quick.
a year.
That's actually quick.
Is
Yeah,
it really?
that's an
And he
average.
has a
quick-
service dog
quick.
too.
That's
Kev,
quick.
he
That's
has a
quick.
service dog as well. He's so happy
Oh,
with his
okay.
little dog. It's the
Oh,
cutest thing
see?
too.
Dog is named
That's
Mr.
the
Fella. I'm just kidding.
Huh?
Ah,
His
Mr.
dog is
Bella.
named Mr. Fella.
Is that his name? The
No,
dog's
no,
name?
I'm
No.
just joking.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
the Miss
Joe
Bella,
because of
Mr.
Miss
Bella.
Bella.
Oh, yeah.
With
All right.
33 years of what
Great
I've done in the
information.
Army, I got a lot of stories I could tell you.
Oh
Yeah, I
yeah.
can imagine. Well, you
We
next on here,
have.
Richard. It's on you, guy. Take it away, Richard. It's your segment now.
Mr. Clang.
Yeah, thank you very much. But anyways, talking about all of this, I'm going to go into this. I had a lot of trouble when I first came in 1975 in basic. What had happened, I hit, when we're double timing, and my right leg clipped the other person's left leg, which had me fall onto a rock, and that rock bore a hole on my left knee, and they didn't bother to check it out.
Wow.
So what happened, I was looking at it because it tore the BDUs, which is the Army camels. It tore them. And one of the other people sitting next to me, I was only 17 at that time, sitting next to me, he saw it. Plus, it was squirting out blood. And he raised his hand and started yelling at the drill sergeants, he's injured, he's injured. So what happened, they took me to one of the medical staff that was close by for while we were at the rifle range. And then the drill sergeant comes in and says, oh, it's not so bad. So I said, I'm going to put, forgot what they call it now, bandolier on it still. And he put it up, and it, which is just kind of mending it there. But he said, you still need to go to the closest Army hospital. And the Army hospital for the main hospital was maybe several miles away. So the thing is, I went to this smaller one, like a small clinic, and they looked at it and said, no, that's pretty bad. You need to get down to the main hospital. And at that point, I had to go ahead and walk all the way to there, got there.
Walk?
Yeah, and let me finish. And they said right away, you're badly injured. What? You walked all the way? I saw what I was told from the drill sergeants. And
how far did you have to walk? Several miles?
Probably about. That's why I walk a lot now. So maybe about 4 or 5 miles, and that's far away from the rifle range. But it was 4 or 5 miles.
Knee, and that was your knee. It
yeah,
must
my knee. My knee. It's
by the time you got there.
Yeah. So the thing is, by walking, I had to still somewhat limp because plus the blood flow was building up, which caused me what they called it thrombophlebitis, and that's clots in my whole leg. And the thing is, those drill sergeants got written up. The main drill sergeant, the master drill sergeant, he got demoted to E5, and the other drill sergeants who were already E5, they got kicked out of the Army for that. The captain did a full investigation on it and found them that they're all at fault. So the thing is, that's what I went through. That's one of the smaller stories, but I've got several others.
Well, you have a good story.
In the future. Yeah, I'll tell you in the future.
Tell us about you and what you're doing now, because we're winding up, but want to hear about all the wonderful stuff that you're doing.
The thing is, I just got my book ready and published. The publisher said it'd probably be about another month because there's just a few more things. Nick? Yeah, exactly. There'll be a few more things that needs to be done, and then I'll have to review it. And then once I've done that, sign off on it, then they'll start to put that out throughout everything on that.
Well, what's the name of your first book?
The first book was I Once Was Whole.
And that's on Amazon, right?
Yes. And the second book is It's Not a Race, It's a Journey. So the thing is, that's where I'll still share some of the things I've had in service, but I still try to keep things positive because what I have gone through currently, as we all know, with all the areas that were the strokes, and the thing is, that was fatty cholesterol caused that tumor because they have to biopsy it, and they found it was cholesterol that was all built up. That's what I'm still trying to cover through the Veterans Administration in regards to the Army. Always told me, well, you got high high cholesterol, but they never give me anything to maintain it or lower it until when I got to the VA hospital later on. And that's when they had found that the tumor was high cholesterol. Now I'm on cholesterol medication, which are some statins, and I have to give myself an injection twice a month, which will lower the cholesterol. And in fact, I've got my medical reports about that, and the cholesterol is much lower. So in combining all that, it's not a race, it's a journey. So I still continue the journey for rehabilitation because that's what I'm covering in what everyone we now have talked about. I'm still covering that, even what I've written in the books. So, which was a lot of things that was going on all through the whole 33 years. So somewhat, that's more of a bigger biography in regards to what was going on in the military time.
Now, do you think you didn't talk about your stroke. Do you think the stroke had anything to do with your time in the military?
Yeah, they had to get that tumor out, but the tumor was cholesterol, which in my time in the military,
because you said something about the food or something that caused.
They told me because I had to eat those MRAs at that specific time in the 80s. The MRAs were the only thing to have.
What is the MRA?
Meals ready to eat, and they're packed with cholesterol. So that's why I had high cholesterol, but they never try to give you anything else to lower it. They just kind of went about the business and said, the reason why you got your blood pressure so high is because you have high cholesterol. Well, what are you going to give me? They never answered that question. And I went out by my business during the time I was in the Army. And then until 2016, as we all know, that's when the 3 strokes happened. And when they took that tumor out and found that the tumor, they had a biopsy, found that the tumor was cholesterol related. So I'm still trying to fight in regards to getting that worked on, that otherwise I would have been perfectly normal before that ever happened. So, but I had to take myself since 2016, now 5 or 7 years now, going on everything to get rehabilitated. It's taken me that long to get back to what seemingly seems normal for me.
Well, you're doing remarkable though, because you're now out walking how many miles, and you're in all different type of races
just recently the other day on Saturday, Friday, this last Friday, I ended up walking nearly, if I had gone a little bit further, it would have ended up to 15 miles. So I almost was at 15 miles on that given day. Wow,
that's amazing. And tell us about your art. And and we helped you get it into the auction where Lauren is going to be able to display it next time you come on.
Right. So I'm still doing artistic work. I sent Charles what I have done for the photos, and those particular photos will be at the Creative Arts Festival that's put on by the Veterans Hospital, which that's what I'm entered into. And last time I was, and like this one here, I call it Sanctuary. This particular one, so I'll call it Sanctuary. So that's one is, but actually, you know where I took that at? I took that at the Kenneth Hahn Regional Park right up here on La Brea.
Right.
So, but I named it.
You have any others pictures?
There's about 2 or 3 others in there. This one was in South Dakota when I went to the Golden Age Games. This one, I just named it Sioux Falls, like that. So it's one of the people who founded Sioux Falls, South Dakota. And there's maybe, this one is still being worked on right now. I have to get to another location because the place I was going to try to work it out, they said they had some trouble with it. It was corrupt in the format. I'm going to try it at a different location, but this one is called the Blue Moon.
Beautiful. And then I don't know if Charles had any of your flowers that you've done, but
not sure.
Show them next time.
Yeah, that's what I'll do next time. But I try to do things where it would be positive and enlightening and actually inspirational for those who have certain areas, such as myself, stroke survivors, or people who may have any form of disability.
Well, we're real proud of you on this thing because I know that you take part in archery and rock climbing and surfing and all that good stuff.
I did surfing yesterday, believe me, and the water was rough this time, and I fell asleep right away when I got home.
I can imagine. But we're so proud of you a very good inspiration, and you didn't tell anyone that you're visually impaired from that stroke. So
yeah, I am visually impaired, and that's what art you see, all that is how I see it, even though I'm visually impaired.
Right. That is so wonderful. God bless you. Keep up the good work.
Thank you very
Okay,
much.
so Charles, it's on you, my friend. We winding down now.
On me. What is it called, Taylor? Hot news. Hot news. It's always hot because it's
right.
Hot. It's like the sun with hot sauce on it. It's hot and flavorful. Yeah, there you go. All right, today's hot news, speaking of recruiting, is about the American Corporate Partners connects veterans with top companies to help them obtain a job after their time of service. So, it was perfect, Dorsey. The program also provides one-on-one mentoring and other career development services. American Corporate Partners is a national nonprofit organization focused on helping returning vets and active duty spouses find their next careers through one-on-one mentoring, networking, and online career advice. More than 1 million veterans are expected to transition from the armed forces to civilian life over the next 5 years. ACP engages the American people in a unique volunteer opportunity to provide career guidance to returning military as they transition back into civilian life. They believe that the biggest issue facing our returning service members is not unemployment, it's underemployment. ACP focuses on helping vets and active duty spouses find meaningful employment opportunities and develop long-term careers. And the history is founder Sidney E. Goodfriend, what a name, Goodfriend, launched American Corporate Partners on Labor Day in 2008 with the help of 6 founding corporate partners who provided funding to ACP and volunteer mentors. By the end of 2009, ACP had paired 500 returning vets with mentors. In November 2018, ACP announced it is expanding its reach and opening its program to the active duty spouse community. Currently, ACP has more than 4,000 vets and active duty spouses paired one-on-one with mentors from more than 100 of America's top companies, universities, and hospitals. Since its founding, ACP has focused on expanding its number of corporate partners, reaching out to a larger number of returning military and designing several new programs and initiatives to help increasing number of service members and returning vets and their families. Programs. Okay. ACP now connects veterans with business leaders in a variety of ways beyond its original corporate mentoring program. ACP's Women Veteran Mentoring Program launched in 2016 and connects females. It was launched in 2016 and it connects female veterans with female entrepreneurs and business leaders for year-long mentorships. Women vets have access to exclusive networking events and career development workshops. ACP Advisory Net, that's an online career question and answering community designed to assist in increasing number of veterans and current service members with networking and career advice. Their Active Duty Spouse Program, ACP's Active Duty Spouse Program, was launched in November 2018 and it connects spouses on installations nationwide with business leaders for customized mentorships. More than 24,000 vets and spouses have successfully completed the ACP program. So, for more information, you can contact, and this is for all the people that are getting recruited, call these people up and talk to them first, and then you'll have an exit plan. Don't just go in with an entering plan, come out with an exit plan. The American Corporate Partners, they are 2 Grand Central Tower, 140 East 45th Street, Suite 19A, and that's New York, New York. And for general information and assistance, please contact them at info@acp-usa.org. That's info@acp-usa.org. And their phone number is 212-752-0700. That's 212-752-0700. And
Right.
and so there you have it. You know, get an exit
Okay, so
plan.
it's on you one more time, Charles.
One more time. Oh yeah, okay. I guess I
One more
get to show
time.
my little, my little funny clip for today. Here, let me get this out the way. I'll pull this thing here and see what we got here. Hang on, let me get back over here. You know. All right, and here we go. Where is it at? Right there. Yeah. Okay. Bam. Okay. Let's see what we got going.
Your butt. Yo, man, give us a ride real quick, man. We've been out here all day, man. I'm hopping on. Oh, you a saint, man. Hey, I'm gonna hop on. I'm gonna get up in the middle piece. Hey, y'all ain't gonna leave me out the middle piece, man. My name Malcolm. Yeah. Malcolm in the middle. It's only right that I'm in the middle piece. Oh, I hopped on the very back, guys. This is crazy. Yo, you a real one for picking us up, bro. Hell yeah. This walk was about to be epic. This is crazy to me.
Damn, everybody, we're gonna get there. We're gonna give them the double, the triple, and the quadruple crown. Hold
on. Okay, well, we're signing off soon now, so we're going to turn it over to Taylor and then Martha, and we're going to say bye soon. Taylor, you take it away right now, and Martha, you come in for the Amazon. We thought you were going to be at the Hollywood Bowl today. Right.
Oh, well, I'm getting ready to sign off.
It's fine. I can read it. I don't have an issue with doing that.
Okay, good. Yeah, you getting ready to stick. You getting ready to go, huh? Martha?
Yeah, I'm getting ready to say goodbye. Thanks, guys.
You have to tell us how it was next week.
I will. Take some
pictures. Okay.
All right,
ask you. We know notes what George sings. We're gonna ask you. What did he sing?
I will. I'll tell you. Report. All right, guys. Have a good afternoon.
All right.
You too. Enjoy.
Bye.
Have a good time.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Before Miss Connie closes the show, I would like to remind our viewers and listeners about our amazing advertisement rates. We have 20 and 30-second advertisement slots available. Please email info@operationconfidence.org. Again, info@operationconfidence.org. For more information, and visit Operation Confidence's website at www.operationconfidence.org. Once more, www.operationconfidence.org for some amazing resources. I would also like to inform our viewers and listeners about Amazon Smile. When making your next purchase on Amazon, please go to Amazon Smile and type in Operation Confidence in the Choose Your Organization donation box. Amazon will make a small donation to Operation Confidence. And to get involved in Operation Confidence's Tiny Houses project, please visit our website and send us a message on how you would like to be involved. One last thing to our viewers and listeners, I would like to inform you about Operation Confidence Positive Redirection Team, which is a group of male and female veterans who are mentors, having overcome similar challenges and situations, transitioning back into mainstream society. To be connected or become a team member, email us at info@operationconfidence.org. Connie?
Okay, and as always, want to remind our viewers and listeners that our goal for the show is to raise awareness about Operation Confidence's mission, which is to provide stable housing with a wide range of supportive services. So to get involved with our grassroots efforts, please send us an email at info@operationconfidence.org or visit our website and send us an email through our website, which is www.operationconfidence.org. And also, please don't forget to subscribe to our American Invisible Heroes YouTube channel. And guys, you know, we got maybe several thousand viewers. We're growing there with our YouTube channel. Take a look. We're really doing well with that. Some shows have less than others, but we're getting there. Real happy on that end. So as always, we want to tell our guests, thank you so much for being here, and our host, you did a marvelous job. And we love you, and we'll be back next Sunday with more informative information. Take it away. Bye.
Bye now.
Here we go.
Oh, I used to do why.
See you next week.
All
Bye now.
right.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.